Dr. Shabir, welcome to Let the Quran Speak.
Pleasure to be on.
The world watched with awe, Dr. Shabir, as South Africa took Israel to the International Court of Justice on charges of genocide. And I guess the question that many people have in the Muslim world is, where are the Muslim countries? Why haven't they stepped up? Why do they seem so quiet? Especially we have Jordan and Egypt, they're right beside Israel, and they don't seem to be doing very much. So do you have any comment on that, Dr. Shabir? We have South Africa coming forward, but the Muslim countries seem to be lagging behind.
Yeah, the Muslim countries should have been at the foremost in this. And, now we're hearing voices of support for the case. But, I suppose better late than never. But South Africa really made a bold move here. And it is one from which we can all learn. And I guess Muslims can learn from this, that if we do not stand up for justice, there's always somebody else out there who will do that for us. And we're warned in the Quran by God that if we do not do what is right, then God might replace us and put other people in our stead. So, yes, why did it come from South Africa rather than somewhere else? Probably because South Africa has had its own experience of apartheid, which they abolished in 1994, and they can see it happening continuously in Palestine, and they're appalled by this. And so naturally, they pulled together a reasonable case, well argued, impressively so by their lawyers in the ICJ. And since then, a number of Muslim and other countries have come forward to offer their support in some way or another. Yes, I would have hoped that even now the voices should be louder, but you just find like an article in Al Jazeera mentioning a list of countries, and so we have mention of the IOC, the Organization of Islamic Conference, or OIC.
Countries, yes.
And this comprises some 57 countries. And then we have also the Arab League, which comprises 22 countries. We have other countries like Malaysia and Bangladesh issuing statements of support. Pakistan and some non-Muslim countries, Bolivia, I believe.
Yes, some South African countries,
Brazil,
South American countries have been very forward
Colombia,
looking. Yes.
Colombia, and Namibia. Namibia actually issued a scathing denunciation of Germany's opposition to the case. Citing the fact that Namibia experienced the first bout of Nazi genocide in the last century. And so they have come out boldly supporting the South Africa case. And most recently, Belgium supported, and Ireland is considering it. So we see that as time progresses, as the killings continue, and people look at the humanitarian crisis unfolding on the Gaza Strip, with a quarter of the population being facing starvation, and people are being told, okay, there is some deal in the works, you will be able to go back to your homes in the north. What homes? When the north has been so devastated, turned into a dystopian wasteland. What homes are we talking about?
And Dr. Shabir, you mentioned the Organization of Islamic Countries and the Arab League. Well, they had a meeting in early November, all of them, and they did not come up with anything, really. Didn't have a plan, right? The plan was, let's do something about Israel's onslaught on Gaza, but nothing happened. There was no decision made.
Mostly talk. And, this is difficult for Muslims across the world to fathom. How is it that
how could they not be united and come forward and come up with a plan to stop Israel?
Exactly. The disunity, the impotence, all of this is very shocking. And, we would expect that there would be some strong calls, for ceasing and desisting. There will be some ultimatums. There will be some sanctions and so on. But nothing.
Yes. Except for Yemen.
Yes. And of course, we don't want ugly pictures. We want people to live in peace and harmony. We want people to use every legal means of stopping oppression and standing up for the justice and fairness of all peoples, and especially now in our present context, the Gazan. And look at the Gazan children, like 40% of those being killed are children. Yes. So if we're talking about 25,000 people being killed and 40% are children, that's like 10,000 right there.
Yes.
Children.
And it's hard to imagine that, Jordan and Egypt couldn't possibly intervene to ensure that aid is getting into the country, right? And, Egypt is right there, right?
Yes.
So it's really hard to imagine that they couldn't actually get the aid in.
Yes.
And then Egypt is preventing people from leaving Gaza who want to leave. There are exorbitant fees. They're written all over the newspapers. $10,000, for example, to bring one person out across the border, right? So all this is sort of like compounding the situation, making people all over the world feel so miserable,
Yes.
Okay, Israel is doing this to us, but then what about the Muslim countries? Why can't they do anything to help the people of Gaza and Palestine?
Yes. And this callousness is, difficult for the people of Gaza as well to understand. I mean, they're suffering from all of the difficulties there, and then thinking that they've been abandoned by their fellow faithful. This just adds insult to injury. I remember listening to a live broadcast of people just after a bombing, and the Gazans are saying, as we have now come to know that they often do, they're saying Alhamdulillah, praise be to God, and so on, like in that devastating situation. And but one of the persons could be heard saying, where is Egypt? Where is Jordan? Like, why is nobody helping us?
Yes.
And they're just simply relying on God, knowing that God is there no matter if everybody else abandons them. But why should everybody abandon them?
And that goes against all Islamic principles as well.
Exactly. And, if so many of our sermons emphasize helping the poor, the needy, the oppressed, come to their aid, and then when they are your fellow faithful, they have a double claim on you. The world has a claim on you as a Muslim to be fair and just and looking after the rights of everyone. But when it's your fellow faithful, that's a double claim. And when it's your neighbor, that's a further claim. So the closer people are to you, whether in terms of geographical proximity or in terms of being of the same faith, the more they have a claim on you. So how could the Muslim world so abandon our fellow faithful? This is difficult to fathom, but I suppose it is not too late. And I hope that if Muslims would now unite and come to the aid of those who are oppressed wherever they are, then this may be a way for God to forgive us and to have mercy on us, to unite our ranks, to bring back the glory and the prestige that Muslims once enjoyed in the world.
We'll leave it at that. Thank you, Dr. Shabir.
You're welcome.
Assalamu alaikum. We have some exciting news to share with you.
As you know, Let the Quran Speak has been on TV screens and social media for 22 years.
We've been reaching people all around the world, spreading positivity and good, and helping people experience the beauty of Islam and the accomplishments of Muslims.
We've been shooting in this very space for the past 2 decades.
And now, with the help of Allah, we're about to get the keys to Muslim Media Hub.
If you like what we're doing, you're going to love Muslim Media Hub even more.
Because it's the next step up.
Think new TV shows, podcasts, social media content, and film.
We'll have new talent, more youth, and a lot more space and resources to do what we love. Spread the message of Allah.
Our Muslim Media Hub costs $2.4 million.
And for that, we need to raise $300,000. Please give whatever you can. Every dollar counts.
It's our collective responsibility to share the message of Islam with our fellow human beings. Please help establish Muslim Media Hub so we can do this.
It's a sadaqah jariyah, something that will continue to be of benefit to the Muslim community long after we are gone.
Thank you, and may Allah bless you and your loved ones today and always.
Assalamu alaikum.